your debate.
Yes, sir. I rise to lead the debate on a bill for an act to establish the National Emergency Toll Service to provide uniform, accessible, and rapid emergency response through a dedicated 3-digit toll-free number nationwide, to empower the National Communication Commissions as the regulator, and for related matters 2025 SB 402, second reading. Mr. President, can I...
You may proceed. You can summarize.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You may
My distinguished colleagues, this bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 20th March 2024. The bill seeks to provide for a nationwide toll-free emergency number that will aid the implementation of a national system of reporting emergencies and for other related matters. An emergency telephone number is typically a 3-digit number that can be easily remembered and dialed quickly. Emergency numbers are needed in life-threatening situations. They can also be used to report emergencies of various types, such as road accidents, fire, burglary, medical emergencies, and so on. Emergency telephone lines are set up in a way that once a call is made, it must be answered by either a dedicated telephone operator, a computer-aided call handling system, or an emergency service dispatch trained to control the calls in order to provide help. Some have special training in telling people how to perform first aid, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, which may be life-saving. The direct dial emergency number system was first deployed in the United Kingdom in July 1937, using the code 999. In the United States, the first emergency call using the dedicated code 911 was made in Haleyville, Alabama in 1968. India's national emergency response number on the lines of 911 became operational in 2014. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, in many parts of the world, an emergency service can identify the telephone number from the call that was placed. With the latest enhanced systems such as the 911 code emergency telephone numbers are able to provide physical locations of mobile telephones, and these are often specifically mandated in a country's enabling legislation. However, Nigeria has several helpline numbers for different emergencies. In Lagos State, for example, there are several toll-free emergency numbers for police, ambulance, fire service, LASMA, CAI, LASEMA, Women Abuse Domestic Violence Helpline, Child Abuse Helpline, and Flying Doctors, amongst others. The Federal Capital Territory, Ogun State, and some other states of the Federation have different emergency numbers. The presence of multiple emergency numbers in Nigeria has been identified as an impediment to getting accelerated emergency response during emergency situations. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the bill essentially seeks to establish an efficient and effective emergency response system. It proposes the use of 112 as the national emergency number or any other 3-digit numbers as may be agreed upon during the public hearing. If during the public hearing, calls or text messages sent to the emergency numbers will land at the nearest public safety emergency numbers. Recent statistics show that close to 90% of Nigerians own mobile phones. Therefore, a toll-free emergency number will go a long way in ensuring that Nigerians in distress are just a dial away from the relevant emergency institutions. The number will provide a one-stop shop for receiving distress calls from the public and dispatching the same to appropriate response agencies who will respond to the needs of callers. The proposed 112 toll-free national emergency line is easier to learn, remember, and dial. It will save a lot of Nigerians the stress of having to memorize more than one emergency number. This bill clearly intervenes to facilitate the emergency response system in the country by coordinating the response numbers for effective administration and management. For this to be effectively carried out, there is a need for synergy among the Nigerian Communication Commission, other relevant government agencies, and mobile network service providers. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I hereby urge you to support the second reading of this important bill. Thank you, I so move.
Senator Mohammed Ali.
Distinguished colleagues, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, you know, or we all know, that this bill that is to establish a nationwide toll-free emergency number for reporting of emergency throughout the Federation is timely and very, very important. In fact, at this critical time, this bill is needed at most. And in addition to passing this bill for the second reading, I urge my colleagues and the leadership to facilitate so that this bill will be finally passed or signed into law by Mr. President and implemented, because one of the impediments that or challenges we are having during this heightened insecurity is lack of proper communication or effective communication to the various affected agencies. If we do this, I think we are enhancing and we are also contributing to solving the security challenges and other related criminalities or emergencies that we are facing in the country. In view of this, I urge my colleagues to also support the second reading of this very, very important bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Prof.Mgbeke, I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I am supporting this motion with all my strength and giving muscular expression to this motion against the backdrop of the avalanche of security challenges that we are having across the nooks and crannies of the country. And the fact that our security community are always emphasizing or calling upon the general public to report what they see. And against this background, there is a need for government to create an avenue where the public can report what they see without any let or hindrance or any encumbrance. So what this bill seeks to achieve is to further give strength and muscular expression to the need for the general public to report what they see by having a dedicated emergency line where they will report what they see, as opposed to multiplicity of emergency lines that we have across the nooks and crannies of the country. Thank you.
Those in favor, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the National Emergency Toll Services to provide uniform, accessible, and rapid emergency response through a dedicated 3-digital toll-free number nationwide, to empower the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, as the regulator, and for related matters 2025 SB 402, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish a nationwide toll-free emergency number for reporting of emergencies throughout the Federation and for related matters 2025 SB 402, second reading taken. The bill referred to the Committee on Communications to report back within 4 weeks. Let me commend Senator Yaradua for bringing forward this bill and those who partook in the debate. This is a wonderful arrangement, and it will go a long way to help the people of this country whenever it is implemented, whenever the law is passed and the idea is implemented. I think at this point, the Senate leader should move for adjournment.
Minister.